progress. thank you for your patience, and thank you, Brianna,
Yeah.
and the rest of you for not panicking and getting this going. I appreciate that. We were in our monthly department reports. We did get news from FTA that we have cleared the hurdle in terms of the cooperation with ICE language that was in their master agreement. Earlier this year, they are not going to include that language, so that's great news for us to continue to apply federal funds to our operations. So I wanted to share that with you. In the operations report, there's a couple, for the monthly department reports, there's a couple of things that I did want to point out. Page 15 under marketing, the Connect to What's Possible brand campaign. We announced that at the State of the District last year, and that campaign is now running. You may have seen ads on local TV or streaming on TV platforms, digital billboards as well. Those are running now. We will be collecting the metrics on those and adding those into the January board report. So we'll be able to see what's happening from the November data then. So stay tuned on that. I want to thank the marketing department for doing a good job on that process. They worked with Terrell Group, who's worked with us on quite a bit of our marketing since I've been here. I also like to point out on page 17, LTD has a deep history on being ADA compliant, and we continue to invest in our ride source area that provides trips to folks that aren't able to use our fixed route service. I was reading Carrie gave me a thesis that Phyllis Luby worked on back in 1970, 74, that assessed the entire county and came up with a model for providing accessible transportation. So that was 1974, 50 years ago. LTD was able to have a ADA accessible fleet before the ADA required it, so we beat that deadline. And today we have Ride Source. That tradition continues in this project that I just want to highlight, and it may sound simple compared to those other two things, but you can't ride the bus if you can't get to the bus. So we're doing a fixed route infrastructure. We're doing improvements to assess ADA compliance for the bus stops within our system, those that are found non-compliant. We're going to estimate the construction costs for improvement and then develop an implementation plan. So that work is happening over the winter time. A contractor called Kimberly Horn is going to be doing that work, assisted with sub-consultants, and they'll visit every fixed route bus stop station to gather data on existing conditions for assessment. And I wanted to point that out because that is a part of the culture that this board continues to push forward that started way back in 1970. Moving on to page 18, the fare strategy roadmap is being looked at as well in our planning area. This includes looking at our fare infrastructure, which includes our electronic fare systems, our ticket vending machines, our onboard fare boxes. We'll use stakeholder engagement to look at current technology, and we'll provide options to meet our objectives near term and consider investments longer term. It costs a lot of money to collect the money. And we want to make sure that we're doing it in ways that lower the barriers to get into the system. One of the things that I studied at a previous job was the hurdles for people to ride the system. And one of it is not knowing how to pay for fare. Do I slide something in? Do I tap something? Do I have open source? So we're going to take a look at what that looks like. And then finally, we have such a good customer service center. Our staff at Eugene Station here and in Springfield are top of the line. And one of the things that they've been talking about from the time I walked in the door related to passes. So our monthly pass that we have today is literally a monthly pass. So it's good for the month of December. It dies on January 1. If we stop selling it after a certain date because you won't be able to use it for all 30 days or 31 days. Now we're moving to a rolling pass. So we'll have a rolling 31-day or a 92-day pass. Sounds like a simple concept. Why didn't you think of that earlier? Our folks down in CSC have been talking about that for years. And now we're at the point where we're able to do that, and we're going to be rolling that out in February. Again, sounds simple, but it reduces that barrier of entry onto the system. So with that, I will pause for any questions that you may have on any other sections of the department report.
About the rolling pass thing, is that so if I buy, for example, a pass on say February 1st, it would expire in March 3rd or something like that?
31 days.
Yeah.
From the time you use it.
From the time I used it. Yeah. So if I bought it on the 1st and I started using it on the 2nd, then that's when that starts at 31 day clock.
From the time you use it, that's when the clock starts running.
That'll probably help a lot of people.
Yeah. Cool. More questions coming? All right. Any questions on the delegated authority report? That's in your packet. And then we'll roll into the human resources metrics framework. On Wendy to the table. There she is. So you've heard this before. We have we're looking to improve our posture on how we deliver services internally to our employees. Our goal is to be an employer of choice. So we went to a new model of how we're providing human resources within LTD. And we want to put some metrics around it so we know whether it's working or whether it's not. And Wendy, and we have Taryn Johnson-Klein, who's with us on the screen there. She's done work with us in the past. And Angela, I don't have my glasses on, so I can't see her last name. I can't even fake it. Perkins Rosinium is with us as well, and they'll be able to color in some of those. So, Wendy.
Thank you for your time this evening, board. I'm Wendy Frisbee, Chief Administrative Officer here at LTD. I give you the pleasure of introducing two of our consultants here. We've got Taryn, who's the founder and principal consultant of Taryn Consulting, a concierge HR firm based in the Pacific Northwest, and she specializes in compliance, compensation, performance management, and leadership development. She has a deep experience with nonprofits, public utilities, small to mid-sized organizations, and she partners with leaders to build equitable, people-centered workplaces that drive accountability, growth, and long-term success. We've had the privilege of working with Taryn since March of 2021. She came out as a consultant then. And so we've used her time to time over the last 5 years, and she's been a great asset to LTD. Also like to introduce Angela Perkins. She's a partner and she's the executive vice president at Xenium. She joined Xenium in 1999 at their inception, and her entire career has been helping organizations transform their workplace. And as you guys know, we're utilizing Xenium to help with us with that right now. During her tenure, she's had designed HR as a service program for more than 400 companies across dozens of industries. She actively serves on boards of directors for Big Brothers and Big Sisters. She's also a big there, which is awesome, and volunteers with the Men's Service League alongside her high school boys. So I'd like to turn it over to Taryn and Angela to give you a little bit of the data that we've been gathering. I'm working with our BI team just to really kind of give you the, I guess, preview of what we're going to be bringing to you guys on a quarterly basis. And so I'll turn it over to the team.
Yeah. Thank you, Wendy, and thank you, Jameson, and for the board for inviting us in. I know we just have a couple minutes, so I will be brief. Just as they shared a minute ago, why we are tracking workforce metrics is really to make better business decisions with data, to reveal trends, to reveal risk, opportunities related to talent, related to engagement, compliance, costs, all of those data points that we are uncovering from the metrics. Right now, we are in the discovery part of our project, I will say. We're going to preview what the dashboard is that we have right now. Going forward, the goal is for you all to have a quarterly update of a similar like dashboard based upon metrics that the district is going to be measuring on an ongoing basis. We're going to focus on retention, succession, training. There's going to be some demographic data, safety data, etc. Brianna, am I able to share my screen? Let's let's see if yep, looks like I can. So everyone able to view this, okay? So this is very high level, just basic. So here, for right now, since we're kind of creating a baseline, we are starting with January 1 of 2024 is where we're going back to. And we're going all the way with the data we have right now through June 30th of 2025, based upon data that we were able to pull that has been audited, verified through staff systems. So we have our FTE count, our turnover trends. I'm not going to go into specifics, but we will go through this in more detail as we roll out more information and what this means to the district. As stated, we have some demographic data. This is also data that is reported to the FDA and EEO reports. I'm sure you all have heard about that. These next four graphs you see here can be really important when we look to succession planning and what that means for the district going forward. We have a widespread of years of service. We also have a graph around retention. The first one, I'm not sure if you can see, is focused on involuntary versus voluntary turnover. Voluntary could be a retirement, they've moved on, they got another job, they moved out of the area, it was a temp position, so that's a voluntary. Involuntary, a layoff, a termination, those types of things. This was pretty interesting to me. Retirement age eligibility for 2025, if you are 65 years or older, the district has 5% age eligible to retire. In 5 years from now, that jumps up to 22% of their employees. So what does that mean from succession planning, and how is the district preparing itself? This is just kind of an overall spread of where the employees are by department. The blue in this instance is for 2024. The red is from 2025. And as we continue to add data, these will show up and we'll be able to look at trends. This one also includes 2026 data around benefit contributions. As you can see, it's about, oh, my number shifted. So from 2024 to 2025, it was about a 13% increase for benefit contributions. From 25 to 26, it's just about, it's like 12.65% increase. These are business decisions. You guys are one of the most incredible employers that pay 100% of benefits. What does that mean from a cost perspective? What are business decisions as it relates as benefits costs keep rising? So questions as you ask internally with business decisions and budgets. You've probably seen this data before, but we've included OSHA recordables, again, 2024 versus 25 for recordables and lost days. So what does this mean for your workforce? You're having, say in comparison to 24 to 25, you are having fewer injuries, but they are affecting, your employees are out more often. So what type of injuries are happening? How does that affect morale? How does that affect absenteeism? How can you reduce those and get people back to work quicker? So these are the kinds of questions we want to ask ourselves as we look at this data, as we look at these trends. I have an additional little blurb at the bottom. We want to look also at recruitments, how many jobs we're looking at on a quarterly, annual basis, days to fill, absenteeism. Absenteeism can also be an important factor of engagement, retention, and additional safety metrics as we continue to gather data for the district. So our goal is for the board to receive a quarterly report that looks like a dashboard, as you see here, with additional commentary as what this could mean to the district and how we are seeing those trends impact. So that's what I have for the HR metrics. This is a sneak peek of where we are at today.
Angela, did you have anything that you wanted to add?
I'll just mention one of the main projects that Xenium is working on right now that kind of falls into metrics and how we can really see how we're sort of pursuing that employer of choice goal that we all collectively have as an employee engagement survey. So we closed that with the staff late November, and we're excited to be sifting through all that data right now. So I imagine beginning with the end in mind, we'll end up having some of those metrics flow in to some of what Taryn just shared in the future here in the next several months. So we're excited about that.
Thank you. And any questions from the board?
That looked really interesting. So can we see that?
Sure. Yes. Well, we can print that off. I know it's kind of like a prototype, so we weren't really sure what all you guys need to see on that quite yet, but yeah, we're happy to.
Tara said sneak peek but it would be nice.
Okay, absolutely. Yeah, we'll get that and send that to you guys for sure. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I'm happy to send it over to Wendy, and Wendy, you're obviously welcome to share it at your leisure to the board. Please know it's just in sample format. Once you receive a more official one moving forward, it will be much cleaner and with more descriptions for you all, but we're happy to share it at this point.
Thank you.
Not a question, but a comment. Just great job keeping us on track. I mean, when we outsourced, we made a commitment to this kind of work and bringing it eventually back in-house, repurposed for what we really need as an organization. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, and next up, we have a strategic planning committee, biannual report. Dave Roth. As Dave takes his seat, we're doing a lot of planning work, planning activities. We've talked about those over the years, even from the COCA outreach to the long range mobility plan to how we do pilot programs. So a lot of planning work. And we felt it would be good to have the strategic planning committee come to the board twice a year to just give an update on where they are with the work plan. So it stays connected to the things you're talking about. So Dave?
Thanks. Good evening, President Cox and members of the board. Dave Roth, Director of Mobility Planning and Policy. As Jameson mentioned, I'm here to provide you with a mid-year update or end of calendar year update for the Strategic Planning Committee. I just want to take a moment to acknowledge our Strategic Planning Committee Chair and Vice Chair, Alma Fumiko Edwards and Tiffany, and Jesus, and Tiffany Edwards, who are not here tonight. So we've been doing some great work with the Strategic Planning Committee this year so far. And just as a little reminder about the Strategic Planning Committee, so they're established in 2016 through a rechartering of the original MX Steering Committee, and then later on the LTD Accessibility Committee was folded in. So they serve multiple functions for the organization. Just in terms of the mid-year report, I'll go over some highlights and I'll give you a little bit of a preview of what we're anticipating for the first meeting of the new year in January. So in September, we appointed 4 new members to SPC. We led a presentation on understanding serial communications under the Oregon Public Meeting Law. So we want to make sure that our committee members are following all the rules around Oregon Public Meeting Law. And then finally, we had a presentation by Senior Planner Brandon Melton on the Lane Coordinated Public Transit Human Services Transportation Plan. And so this is a planning process that you will hear more about in the new year. This is a required plan, required by the FTA, and we will be bringing this forward for board review and approval in the new year. So expect to hear more about that. We're doing some great work there in engaging communities, particularly populations who need transportation mobility services to access healthcare and other social services throughout Lane County. In November, our second meeting of the FY26 time period, we had 3 agenda items at that meeting. So the first one was an update on a project that we're underway on right now, which is an update to LTD's fixed route service policy. We had a great conversation and presentation with the committee. And again, this is another plan that we're required to maintain, and we will be bringing this forward for the board to look at and approve in the new year as well. This plan or this policy is really around how we track performance metrics on the fixed route services. The next item was the fare system roadmaps. You heard about that in the departmental updates. We provided an update to the SBC on that project and the good work that we're doing there that will inform future investments in our fare system. And right now we're planning on bringing that deliverable, the final report to the board in February. So you'll get a pretty thorough update on where we intend to go in the future to again, really make our fare payment system more seamless and easy to use for folks. The last item was the equitable engagement policy briefing. And this is a policy, I know Jameson mentioned it at the last board meeting, that we'll have in front of you, I believe in January for your review as well and discussion. The intent there is to build off of the work that we did with the COCA process, the Comprehensive Outreach and Communications Assessment project, where we piloted a new way of compensating folks for their time on the advisory committee for that project. So a lot of content, a lot of good work underway that you'll be hearing more about in the new year. And then just to give you a look ahead, we're scheduled to meet on January 15th with the SBC. And one of the things that the committee had expressed interest in is doing a system tour. So we're actually going to be providing a system tour. We're going to ride MX out to Willow Creek and then be transported to the Ride Source headquarters, where we'll take a tour of the headquarters there, come back to the Santa Clara station, and then ride fixed route back to downtown Eugene, where we'll then have our business meeting. And on the agenda for January, we're going to dive deep into the bus stop ADA assessment project, which you heard about. We're going to have a presentation by ODOT on their new CIP process for how they program project priorities. And then we've got two pilot projects that we're going to introduce to the SBC. One is a TNC program pilot, and this is TNC is Transportation Network Company, so this is like Uber and Lyft. This is a pilot project to address some of the mobility gaps that we identified in the system review project in neighborhoods that experience service reductions or service cuts. So really excited to get this out in front of the group and talk more about that. And the other one is related to ADA requirements, an audible stop announcement pilot. So right now, transit agencies are required to announce audibly major stops along the fixed route network. And what we're doing is we're piloting that to make stop announcements on all stops. And there's some real benefits for people who are visually impaired to have that access to that kind of information. So some exciting stuff coming up in the new year. And that's my update. Happy to answer any questions that you might have. All right.
Thank you.
And with that, we'll conclude the CEO report.
Finance report. Pete?
Thank you. So our financial report for this month is on page 29, I believe, of your packet. I think what I want to highlight this month is that, do you remember last month we had this negative balance, and this month we were back up to a positive balance. This is because, if you remember, this is basically a cash in, cash out. It doesn't cover unrealized revenues or upcoming expenses that haven't been paid out. So what happened between last month and this month, we got our we were able to get our federal reimbursements that we had already paid out, which is why we had that negative number last month. And I know that kind of it's counterintuitive, because if you think, oh, why, we shouldn't show a negative balance, but it's really kind of artificial because of the we're only looking at a specific chunk of the books, not the whole books, and it's only the cash part, coming in, and going out. Kind of like, you've got your rent coming up next month, so you keep cash in your bank account, but you don't use it, and you don't think of that as money that is usable, and it is a much larger scale. So other than that, we were pretty solid, and if you have any questions, let me know.
Thank you, Pete. Questions for Pete? Well done. So moving on to the consent agenda, are there any items that the board wishes to remove for separate discussion consideration? Michelle?
I would like to remove the adoption of resolution number 2025-12-17-40, which is the contract with Office World for further discussion and clarification.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda excluding adoption of resolution number 2025-12-17-40?
I move adoption of the consent agenda as amended.
Second.
Second.
Can I make a comment? We discovered a typo in one of them, and it's gonna be corrected on the resolution that's signed. And it's not in the resolution language, it's just in one of the recitals. So on the Fortis contract, the 7th recital incorrectly states that one of the amendments moved the contract value to 12.5 million, but it should have been 11.5 million. It does not affect the substance of the resolution, but I just wanted to make that comment. It will be changed on the resolution that's signed.
Okay. So can we approve the consent agenda? We've got that. We have to do it by voice vote. Okay. Michelle?
Yes.
Gino?
Yes.
Peter?
Yes.
Heather?
Yeah.
Michelle, or sorry, Lawrence
Yes.
and Kelly
Yes.
and Susan. Thank you. Okay, so are we going to now vote on the amendment?
The one that was pulled off.
Right.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
And Susan, you voted in the affirmative.
Yeah. Yes. So, yeah.
All right, so the item that was pulled off is a contract with Office World Cooperative Purchase. This is a purchase for office furnishings, which includes systems, furniture, design, installation, and related services. This is a budgeted item. The challenge with this, the issue with this one is, as written, it authorizes the CEO to exceed delegated spending authority of $249,999 with no ceiling. So the total spend on this in the paper is not to exceed $500,000. So we'd be asking for a resolution that communicates that, authorizes the CEO to enter into an agreement with Office World not to exceed the $500,000.
Any questions? Okay, make a motion.
I move to adopt resolution number 2025-12-17-40, authorizing the chief executive officer to expend up to $500,000 through Office World via Omnia cooperative contracts for the purchase of office furnishings. My glasses aren't working. Systems, furniture design, installation, and related services.
Okay, so are we ready to vote? Kelly?
Yes.
Lawrence?
Yes.
Michelle?
Yes.
Gino?
Yes.
Peter?
Yes.
Heather? And Susan? Yes. So now you can just spend all you want. Oh, that.
Yes, that's what we were trying to do.
And then there's gonna be a correction on that one.
Yes,
Okay.
we'll have that on what you signed, we'll correct it.
Thank you. Okay, is there any further business?
For action items.
Sorry, yes, we were getting eager. Okay, board action items. So far. So we're going to, did we just do that?
You're right here.
Oh, okay. So we're going to begin consent the item that was pulled, resolution number 2025-12-1740. We did. No, we just did that.
Yeah.
So we're on 43.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
It's not just the owl that's having problems. I'm sorry about that. Okay, so may I have a motion to adopt resolution 2025-12-1743 and a second?
I move adoption of resolution number 2025. We can discuss after the motion.
Yes, you can discuss after this,
Yeah.
motion in a second.
I move adoption of resolution number 2025-12-17-43, authorizing the chief executive officer to enter into a contract with Direct Medical Transport, Inc. for the purpose of operating the LTD connector and the LTD rural shuttle pilot.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you.
Discussion.
Yes, Heather?
So I appreciate that Mike Fleck came representing Cottage Grove tonight. Much of what he said was on record the first time around. It was good, robust discussion. I will be supporting this time because I felt that the process that we heard about was investigated and we revisited, and moving forward, I trust that staff executed properly. But I do want to remind the board that there were a couple of things that came up in the first discussion that I feel I want on record again. Rural representation should be required for the procurement process when at all possible. And I don't mean just representing rural, I mean from rural. Living in rural, that's actually a big deal. There's a lot of organizations that represent rural that don't have the flavor. So I just want that to be a piece of what we do moving forward. And second of all, I want to make sure that the board is aware at a high level. We talked about our awareness, not interested in being in the weeds, trust staff completely, but want to make sure that we are aware of what is happening in the rural areas. And again, my word, we're not homogenizing for each community. They have very distinct needs. And I just want that on record.
Thank you, Heather. That's
And
great.
unfortunately, this is, it will affect South Bay Meals, but that happens in a fair procurement process. So it is unfortunate. I'm not voting against them, but voting for the process to do what it needs to do.
Other discussion? Something, Sean? Yeah. Okay. So we're ready to vote? Heather, start with you.
Aye.
Peter?
Yes.
Gina?
Yes.
Michelle?
Yes.
Lauren?
Yes.
Kelly? Yes. Susan, I also vote yes. Thank you. That's been a complicated process, but appreciate that we moved through it successfully. Okay, so now we have a motion to approve. May I have a motion to approve the chief executive officer's annual goals?
I move to adopt the chief executive officer annual goals as presented.
Second.
Thank you. So any discussion? Let's have a roll call vote. Kelly?
Yes.
Lawrence?
Yes.
Michelle?
Yes.
Gino?
Yes.
Peter?
Yes.
Heather?
Yes.
And Susan. I also vote yes. Okay, and so this is the resolution. We need a motion to adopt resolution 2025-12-1744.
I move to adopt resolution number 2025-12-17-44, adopting the 2026-2028 Lane Transit District Revised Strategic Business Plan.
Second? Lawrence? Okay, thank you. Any discussion? Let's vote. Kelly?
Yes.
Lawrence?
Yes.
Michelle?
Yes.
Gino?
Yes.
Peter?
Yes.
Heather?
Aye.
And Susan? I also vote yes. Okay, the motion passes. There's a lot of motions to
Can I just make a quick comment?
Sure.
Just thanking staff for the work they're putting into this.
Yes.
There is a tremendous amount of work that's being done and being planned, and it's appreciated. And go for it.
Thank you. I agree, Jim, absolutely. So may I have a motion to adopt the amended Lane Transit District Committee bylaws?
I move to adopt the amended Lane Transit District Committee bylaws as presented.
Is there a second?
Second.
Anything from Kristen?
You guys are speaking through tonight. There's 3 committee bylaws. Those are the regular committees. We met with the ad hoc bylaw committee to go over them. Changes are summarized in the AIS. Happy to answer any questions if you have.
If we're good. Ready to vote, Heather?
Aye.
Peter?
Aye.
Gino?
Yes.
Michelle?
Yes.
Lawrence?
Yes.
Yes.
And Susan, yes. Okay, thank you. So now, if there's no further business, do you have any other comments?
I do. I just want to thank the board for another productive calendar year. And Gino, you know, on the head, there is a lot of work being done around the district. But I think that I feel that that work is guided well from this board. I look around the region and I look at some of the boards and how some are functioning. And I feel like there's a range, and I feel like this board is on the top of the very good range, and each of you bring a different perspective. I fully appreciate the conversation tonight around the rural services, and I appreciate the previous one as well. And I feel that if we are going to deliver for all of Lane County, we do have to recognize the diverse needs that the county has and be able to take those and implement those into our processes to understand how we deliver for our county. So I just wanted to thank you all for the time that you invest in helping guide us in the right direction, whether it's businesses to talk to and conversations to have, or things to think through with how we're moving forward. So thank you for a very productive year. I'm speaking for the staff as well. Thank you for all that you put into it. And I want to thank the staff for the work that you've done over the past 12 months as well.
Yeah.
I think that certainly last year was challenging. 2026 is going to be challenging as well, but I think you have a really good team to lead us through that. So thank you.
Yeah.
We'll see you all next year.
Yeah.
Thank you. Meeting is adjourned.